And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back to the show USA Today best-selling author David Bell, here to give us the inside scoop on his brand new book, The Finalists, out now. David, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I appreciate it. Congratulations on your book deal news that you got. So
Thank you.
We're all waiting for that. So congratulations on that. The Finalists came out a couple weeks ago, and it is a locked room story that takes place on the campus of a small private college in Kentucky. And the college was founded by a family back in the 1860s and has been in existence ever since then. This wealthy family controls the college. They bankroll the college, and every year they randomly select 6 students to compete for this massive scholarship. 6 rising seniors. They get tuition, room and board. They get a job with the corporation when they graduate. They get student loan forgiveness. All they have to do is agree to be locked in this creepy house in the woods on the edge of campus with the creepy sole surviving heir of the family. And they have a competition, a written exam and an interview and all this stuff to see who gets this massive scholarship. And spoiler alert, on this particular day, people start dropping dead once they're locked in the house.
Ooh, people start dropping dead, and then they start turning on each other because someone there is a killer, David, because it is a locked room thriller. So we have a lot to get into, and I can't wait to get into every delicious detail. First, I just want to welcome everyone who's watching. So we're broadcasting live to 6 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday, and because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make it a little less painful for you. If you've been here before, you know how it goes. And if you're new, we're so happy to have you. Here's how it goes. Every Monday, I give you my hand-picked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask USA Today bestselling author David Bell about the finalists, about this locked room thriller, about his career, about his process, anything you've got noodling that you're noodling on, get it going in the comments. I'll get them right over to David. Jennifer, welcome to the conversation, saying she loves David's books.
Jennifer is my favorite person now. That's how simple it was.
Jennifer, tell us what you love about David's books in the comments. Let's get into it. Catch a Clue. Welcome to the conversation. Hey, Wendy. She says, Sara and David, so glad to join you both tonight.
That's great. Thank you.
Wendy, thrilled to have you. And we have Sharon. Hi, saying hi from Minnesota. Sharon, welcome to the conversation. Thank you so much for being here. Yay. And we have, if you're watching from our private Facebook group, you can stay anonymous. This is Mystery and Thriller Mavens after all, or you can click share profile, and then we can see your picture, your choice, saying, I'm so excited for this. I've been a huge fan of yours for years. Can I just say I loved She's Gone, and I cannot wait to read this one. What is your favorite book that you've written of yours so far? David, give us the skinny.
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb like the total shill that I am and say The Finalists is my favorite book that I've written so far. Isn't it funny how the book that just came out that I'm trying to sell is my favorite one? But I really do believe that I'm getting better as time goes by, right? I'm now in my late 70s, so I've gotten really good at writing. You're supposed to say you're not that old, right? But no, I do
not look like you're in your 70s. You look good. Writing's working well for you.
It is. No, but I do feel like I'm getting better as it goes along. And The Finalists, I think, had turned out very well, and I'm very happy with it. So I hope readers check it out and enjoy it.
Well, let's ask you, David, what is your favorite thing? Why do you like The Finalists the best? Do you feel like you've elevated your craft? Do you like the locked room sort of, plot of it? What would you like these characters that you've created? Why do you like this one? What makes it your fave?
Well, the locked room was a challenge. I'd never written a locked room story before. It was my editor's suggestion. I don't know why she threw that at me, except maybe she was trying to push me in challenging directions and maybe trying to get me to do something a little different. I mean, this is my 14th book. So like after that many books, there are like only so many ways and so many places you can kill people. So you have to try to come up with a new way to kill people or torment people. So that was certainly the challenge, the locked room aspect. I'm a college professor by day, and I teach at a big public university now, but my first real job was teaching at a little private college, like the college in the book. And so I experienced what it was like. Sometimes people think that private colleges have a lot of money and they're all really well off. The truth is a lot of them are struggling financially because there aren't, there's a dip in the population. There aren't enough kids going to college. They're struggling to keep up. And so this book really gets into that, the pressures that are on colleges to survive and court donors. And then also, and I'm sure some of the people listening are like me, and I had a student loan when I came out of college, and the 6 students in the book.
Yeah.
What's that?
Me too. Hell yeah, for the student loans, team student loans right here.
Lots and lots of people have been down that road, and it can be demoralizing and soul-sucking when you can't make the payments and the interest is going up and up. So the 6 students in the book who are locked in the house all have student debt. And I've had, like early on, a couple people said like, well, I don't believe these students would agree to be locked in this house. And I say, if you don't believe that, you've never had a student loan. Because if somebody came along when I had my student loan and I'm fortunate, I got to pay mine off. So I'm one of the lucky ones. But if someone had come to me and said, you can be locked in this creepy house and your student loan might go away, I'd have been there. I would have done it in a minute. So I drew on that experience I had of dealing with the student loan all those years.
Very relatable. I would also stay in the locked room, even with a killer, to pay off those student loans.
Yes.
David, I'm still thinking about you allegedly being in your 70s. You do not seem to be in your 70s. Sara White saying she's still thinking about it too. I think we're all still thinking about it. David, you do not look like someone saying, dude, you are not 70. You look 45. No way. This is Canadian Courtney. Hey, Canadian Courtney.
She is now my favorite reader of all time. I'm sorry. Who was the first one? Jennifer? I'm sorry.
Jennifer.
Canadian Courtney has replaced Jennifer because she said that I look like I'm only 45.
You do look like you're only 45, and I actually am 45, so I feel like you look like my peer. Oh, wait, though, Jennifer, who has just been, Canadian Courtney just took the lead in your David love, your David favoritism. But wait, Jennifer's making a strong comeback, saying she loves your characters and your story building. So, Jennifer, you fighting for that lead again.
That's good. Yeah. See, Jennifer they're both appealing to my vanity, which is really, that's the way. That's the thing to do, is to compliment me. And you'll be my favorite. So I appreciate, they're both my favorites right now.
Okay, we have 2 tied for favorites. Sara White, welcome to the conversation, saying hi from Florida. I love your books. We have a strong third contender, David.
That's great. Thank you, Sara. I'm sure it's nice and cool down in Florida right now.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. So David, let's talk about, so this book out 20 days ago today, a short 20 days ago, has racked, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Sharon taking the lead, saying I'm only 30. And
I Venmo'd her $100 during this event to get her to say that. So
I think you only look 25. Where's my hundo?
Oh, okay. I'm broke. I'm broke now. I paid off my student loan. I only have $100 left. So that's it.
That should feed you for like a week, though, if you're a student. David, so this book is earning all sorts of praise. Shelf Awareness saying it is expertly plotted. Belle pays homage to Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, skillfully transitioning into the locked room mystery while simultaneously giving the novel his own spin. The Finalists makes the grade with solid suspense. So I know so many readers are huge fans of the locked room of the locked room scenario. I see a lot of talk about that in book groups, and I know that a lot of authors, let's pull up that shelf awareness, a lot of authors think, oh, I've gotten to a certain point in my career, I'm going to try my hand at the locked room setting. So was it something you had always wanted to try? Were you feeling a little stagnant? Did you feel like you were, your skills were polished enough to finally do it? Walk us through why locked rooms. Why did you want to do it? What do you love about it?
I mean, it was like I said, it was an interesting challenge. I had no idea when I started if I would be able to do it. I mean, I made an outline. I always have a detailed outline of the book, so I thought I had enough there to do it. But it's really a challenge. I'm not saying anything that's that radical, but it's really a challenge because if you're not writing a locked room story, the characters can always go do stuff. Like your character can do the most mundane thing, like, oh, I went to the post office and I ran into somebody and they had some piece of information that sent me, spiraling into, toward the clue or whatever. Or, you can have just some like dramatic chase where somebody's running through the woods or they're running, wherever. And you can do all those things. But, in the middle of a locked room story, you can't do that. So the challenge was finding new events, new problems to come up when they're all confined in a house and throughout the course of the book. Here's my advice. If you're going to write a locked room story, make sure it's a 3-story house, because then people can move up and down. So I did that. I had, they went upstairs, they went in the basement and all that stuff. So, I mean, I figured out ways to do it, but I wasn't really sure that I would be able to do it when I started. And that was intimidating, but I gave it a try and I figured it out as I went along. And that's what we do, right?
Exactly. Well, the book is out, I said 20 days ago. It is fresh. It is fun. And you can grab your copy tonight from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, Murder by the Book. So here's the link, y'all. Grab your copy so that you can dive into this locked room puzzle yourselves. And I am loving the advice of making it 3 stories so that they can go up, they can go down. They have many places to go, which is so funny. So fun. Courtney saying, and this is why, Mr. Bell, you are one of the kings of writing thriller and suspense for me. This coming from Canadian Courtney, who, when I posted that we were, that you would be speaking with us tonight, said that you are one of her favorite writers ever, which is so great.
Okay, that's good to know. She capitalized king as though, like, perhaps confused me with Stephen King, which is not true.
I think it's just anointing you the real king here.
Okay.
Julie, welcome to the conversation, saying, hi, I haven't read this one, but I loved She's Gone. Julie, welcome.
That's great. She's Gone is not even out yet. It must have been a sneak peek.
A sneak peek, probably a book reviewer here.
Yes.
Here we have, I hope I'm saying this right, Chung saying, I need to solve this locked room puzzle. Exactly. That's why it's so fun to solve. And
I think, the other thing about it is now, some reviewers have compared the book to Agatha Christie. I'm not saying I'm Agatha Christie. Okay. I'm not saying, well, first of all, she's dead and I'm not. So I'm not. But I do think that, like, when we all, probably those of us, any of us who love mysteries and, whatever, when you're young and you start reading books and start reading mysteries, I mean, Agatha Christie is kind of like the first one you really reckon with. And so maybe for all of us, and we play Clue when we're kids. Like, I don't know if young people still play Clue, but we played Clue. Yeah. So like that whole idea of like being in the locked room, in the house, on the moors, in the mansion, and you find out, and this happens in the Finalists, each of the 6 students gets a turn to kind of tell their story about why they're there. So you find out everybody's backstory. And then also at various times during the book, each character gets a turn being the suspect. So I hope that for the reader, as the reader is trying to figure out who did it, each time the wheel turns, pointing at one person, then you think like, okay, it's that person, then another person has a motive. And that's kind of the thing. I think that's the way we all kind of imprint mysteries on ourselves that way when we're young and are reading Agatha Christie and playing Clue. And so it's almost like it's an essential version of the mystery story, right?
Exactly. Yes, this totally resonates. Sharon saying, I haven't read this book yet, but I really loved Kill All Your Darlings. David, you came on last summer to give us the inside scoop on Kill Your Darlings. Sharon, let us know what you loved about the book. It's so fascinating to hear what resonates with each people. Jennifer saying, I enjoyed Bring Her Home and The Request. Jennifer, great to know. Thank you. Tell us what resonated with each of those books for you. Courtney saying, oh, it was no mistake to capitalize the king. To capitalize the K of king. Okay. You just are that king.
Okay, good. Well, you have to be careful when you give me titles like that, because it will probably go straight to my head and I'll,
to your 70 but looks 45 or possibly 30.
Yeah. I'll start issuing edicts, and of course no one will follow them out. No one will carry them out for me, but I'll try.
Chiang saying, and I hope I'm saying your name right, please correct me, I want to get your name right, names matter, saying, I love David's humor. David is a funny dude. I love David's humor too.
And look at those two cats there that are,
oh my god, they're so cute. I love cats. Yeah. And I asked, any other Clue players here? I like to be Miss Scarlet. I would settle for being Professor Plum. Chang saying, yes, love playing Clue, right? We're all Clue players here. We're all mystery lovers. Oh, hey, Stephanie Cooper, live from California, saying hello. She is a bookstagrammer extraordinaire. She is at Fire Pit and Books on Instagram. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. Wendy saying she loved playing Clue.
The name is Catch a Clue there. I mean, that's perfect. Yes.
Oh my gosh, totally. She had to love playing Clue.
Yes.
David, let's get back to some of these reviews. Alma Katsu, who's also been on the show, saying she raced through the finalists. Let me pop that up. I'm going to pop up her review right here. And she said, I raced through the finalists, which is not only a first-rate thriller, but an insightful commentary on the challenges facing higher education. The finalists is proof positive that David Bell is one of the best thriller writers working today. That is Alma Katsu, author of The Red Widow.
And the fervor, that was her, I think.
And the fervor
was really amazing. That was a really great book.
And I love Alma's writing.
She is, and she's a very nice person. So I'm very cool.
Absolutely. Yay. And then the one other review I wanted to get to was from Deep South Magazine, saying David Bell's The Finalists' unique premise and engaging execution is sure to grip the reader from the first chapter. So let me pop that up as well. So David, let's talk about your execution from a craft perspective. You're a professor. Are you an outliner? Do you sit down and do your homework, or are you just a creative flow with the go with the flow kind of guy?
The first few books I published, I did not have an outline. I just wrote. And then once Cemetery Girl was published with Berkeley, which was then NAL, my editor asked me to make an outline, or they called it a proposal, but like a summary of the book for the next book. And I'd never done that before. And I found it, I really struggled to do it because I always wanted to write more and say more just in the outline. So the outline grew really long. But I found that it ultimately was really helpful. So since then, I have made a summary of the book before I write the book. And they vary in length from like a few pages to maybe 20 pages, depending on just how long they get. But I feel more comfortable setting out writing a book if I have that outline or summary, because then I feel like I can't really get stuck, because I can always go back to that document and say, this is supposed to tell me where to go next. And in a lot of ways, it serves almost as a first draft, because we can see a lot of the plot problems and issues at that stage. Now, plenty still come up later on, but it's an opportunity to try to work through some of that stuff before I sit down and write the whole book. So I know everybody's different and everybody has to just figure out their own way of doing it. But, I would kind of encourage people to do some kind of outline or summary or something before they sit down, just so they've worked that stuff out. I live in terror of like backing myself into a corner and not being able to get out of it. And I feel like the outline helps. But again, everybody, kind of figures out their own way to do that.
So Jeffrey Deaver, when he came on, shared that he is a rigorous plotter. He takes 6 to 8 months to plot, and that the plots can run, the outlines can run 180 pages, which he writes in a darkened room, no light whatsoever, blackout curtains, all lights off, by tactile typing. I'm assuming your process is the same.
we do it exactly the same way. In fact, he and I are locked in the same darkened room.
Yes,
side by side.
I thought so.
No, I don't take it that seriously. But then again, how on earth would I ever argue with Jeffrey Deaver? I mean, like he's
you don't argue with Deaver.
There's a reason he's Jeffrey Deaver, and I just couldn't even say anything. And he's also a very nice man, but I couldn't say anything about that. No, it's not quite that intense, but it is, I do think it's useful. And again, I was saying, like, everybody has to find their own way. And I know there are people who don't make outlines at all, and they're just like, hey, let's see where it goes. And his way is to lock himself in a room. So,
He actually is in his own locked room challenge. His challenge is to get out with the lights off.
Yes, I know.
Julie, welcome to the conversation, saying, why didn't I have a professor like you 40 years ago instead of the boring ones?
Well, I was 12 years old 40 years ago, so I would have been
5. Remember, you're only
5. I was negative 20. I would have been a terrible professor at age 12, but.
Well, David, let me ask you this. Speaking of professors, I understand there are websites now where you can review them. Do you read your professor reviews? Do you read your book reviews? Or do you just, are you in that locked room state, not looking?
We're kind of, in a way, we're obligated to, not the online reviews that we get as professors, but we get evaluations from the students, and we almost have to read those because they make us write an annual report where we respond to those. And then the students who write the bad ones end up in the finalists.
Yes.
That's how I work that out.
That's fair.
In terms of book reviews, I try not to get too caught up in it. Now, inevitably, when the big trade reviews come out, like Publishers Weekly and Kirkus and stuff like that, my editor sends them to me, and sometimes they should come with a trigger warning. It should be. Actually, they do sometimes come with a trigger warning. My editor will send the review and just say, like, well, just to let you know, this one didn't go as well. But I'm sending it to you anyway, in case you wanted to feel bad on a Wednesday morning or something like that. But yeah, I do read those. But I try, here's the good thing about having been around for a little while is that I've published 14 books. There have been a lot of reviews over the years. Most of them have been good. Occasionally, there's been a little clunker in there. But I think anybody who's writing has to take the long view and say, like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And sometimes, there'll be a little bump in the road. Sometimes you'll get a flat tire, whatever. But you take the long view, and that's what I try to do. So I try not to get too caught up in any individual review, unless it's a glowing review, and then
it's true.
I love it. Then the reviewers are brilliant.
Yeah, and that's the God's honest truth, as we know. Sharon, cool question. Any talk of a movie being made from any of your books, David?
Nothing is very close to being done. I have an option on Kill All Your Darlings. So there's that. But, it's a very long road to get anything like that done. So again, that's just like the reviews. I try not to get too caught up in that stuff. It's nice when somebody likes the book and, wants to talk about it and wants to think about it. That's all very nice. But, I wouldn't please, nobody hold their breath for the movie to come. But yeah, don't. It would not be good. It would not be good. So I will turn 72 probably before that happens.
Well, thank you for the great question, Sharon, because I think when you're reading a David Bell book, you can see it in your mind's eye. You can picture it so clearly because David writes so descriptively. And so I also have that experience of when I'm reading, I'm like, oh, I can see this on the screen. So I love that question. Thank you, Sharon. I'm scrolling through, make sure you're not missing one. Chung, thank you for letting me know that I pronounced your name right. Would like to know, yes, I loved Cemetery Girl. You have some really creative criminal minds.
Yeah, well, that's the fun part of writing a thriller is, I mean, obviously we want to care about the good people, but, sometimes the bad people, the villains, are the fun ones to write too. So, that happens.
Readers gotta read. Hey girl, welcome to the conversation. Always a pleasure to see your name pop up. She says, I love red herrings. David, let's talk red herrings. So first of all, for those who don't know, tell us what a red herring is.
And that's just when you're reading a book and the author has put some sort of clue or something in there that leads the reader to think, this is where the story is going. But alas, they've just tricked you. It's like when the magician, distracts your attention with one thing while they pull the rabbit out of the hat with their other hand. It's that, right? So yeah, in the Finalists, like I was saying before, you find out each of the character has a motivation. It's a small college, so the characters all kind of know each other and they've had their interactions, some romantic entanglements, some other things that have happened between them over the years. So a lot of that comes out too, and those may or may not be red herrings to think these things that have happened in the past between the students or with the administrator might be leading you in one direction, but maybe I'm leading you in the wrong direction. You never know.
So let's talk about red herrings. Do you think to yourself, I better plant some misleading clues to get people looking over here while I'm over here doing this? Or do you go back and think to yourself, oh, I need to plant a few more red herrings because it's too obvious? Or what's your red herring process?
Well, I mean, they're definitely there in the first draft. I'm aware that I have to try to misdirect the reader. One thing that I'm sure you know this too, in any mystery suspense writer learns, is that the readers are very smart. They've all read a lot of books. They've all seen all the tricks, right? So in order to continue to fool really good readers, we have to continue to be more creative. So I'm aware of that, of having to misdirect the reader a little bit and throw them off. And yeah, you're right though. Sometimes I might get to the end and in the revision process say, oh, this is too obvious. I have to do something to throw them off the scent, or maybe I didn't put enough confusion in there, to throw the readers off. So yeah, sometimes, in the revision process, I have to go back and add more.
Interesting. Thank you for the comment. Readers got to read. And David, thank you for that. Jen for saying the walks in your local cemetery probably help let you create. David, do you take walks in cemeteries? What's happening here? Because I'm getting freaked out.
I do. I mean, right. We bought this house. We've lived here for a while, but right down the street, you can't see it, of course, from here, but like 2 blocks down the street, there's a massive cemetery that goes on both sides of the road. And it's just really nice in the morning to go there and walk. A bit of Bowling Green, Kentucky trivia: in that cemetery down the street, the final resting place of Duncan Hines. Just in case you wanted to know that, Duncan Hines is buried down the street from me in the Fairview Cemetery. But anyway, it's just, in the morning, if I go for a walk and it's quiet. And a lot of times when I'm in the middle of writing, I take that time to think, okay, what am I going to do today? Right? Like what has to happen in the chapter today or whatever. And, it clears my mind. And then I come back and I'm ready to go.
Interesting. Jennifer, thank you for leading us to this tasty clue, insight into David's murky psyche. Sharon would like to know, good question. Can you read other mysteries and thrillers when you are writing a book? David.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard writers who say that they don't, or they can't, or that they don't read fiction when they're writing fiction.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, but I understand that if you're writing a mystery or suspense novel, you don't want to be influenced. You don't want to find yourself taking something from someone else or whatever. I kind of think that's hard to do. But no, I do. I read everything, and I read it while I'm writing because I love to read. I read obsessively, and there's something to learn. I think every time I read any book, but especially the mysteries and thrillers that are being written now, which are all, I mean, there are a lot of really excellent books being written now in the mystery and thriller genre. I feel like I'm always learning something by observing other people. So, I mean, as long as you're not just like stealing their plot or anything like that, there's stuff to learn and absorb about telling a story. And I enjoy doing that.
Yeah, it's weird because my next book is about 6 students stuck in a locked room. And only and one dies.
No.
But it's not related to your book, David.
Right. Not at all.
Chung says, good question. Have any of your past students ever written a novel or a thriller? Cool question.
I have had a few students over the years who have published books. I don't know. I have a student, her name is Jennifer Kiefer, who lives here in Kentucky, and she has I'm giving her a free plug, so I hope she revises that bad review she wrote on me on Rate My Professor. She has her first book coming out, and it's a horror novel, so that's coming out like in the next year or so. She just got the deal. And then I've had a couple other students write books. So yeah, I mean, publish books. So yeah, it happens. It's even at my advanced age, this is the truth though, the first students I taught are still only like in their mid 30s now. So they're just kind of getting to the age where they might be publishing their first books and starting to have careers. Students I taught very recently are still, incredibly young, and they've got a long way to go before they might be publishing their first book.
Yeah. Follow-up question. Of those students who published, was the villain's name David?
In all of them, strangely.
The bad guy is always named David. It's just weird.
Killer. Yes. Very strange how that works out. It's always strange when a student comes to class and they've written a story and like there's a character named David, and I'm always just like, you could just like not. Just that's one name. Just don't use that name.
Yeah, or Davy. I mean, they could just disguise it a little bit.
They could. They don't.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we are out of time, but one last great question. Do you ever walk around your cemetery in the evenings? Chung says, I used to live near one, and it would creep me out, especially in the evening. Are you a cemetery morning walker, or do you venture into the graveyard at night, David?
Usually in the morning, because it's quieter then, and it's just the only other people there are the grave diggers and the rabbits.
Wait, why is it not quiet at night?
Well, I don't go there much at night, so I don't. Okay. I wouldn't go at night because I probably would be too scared. I've gone in the evening, but not at dark. I mean, they lock the cemetery at dark, and this will be my last comment. I did go for a walk in the cemetery it was in the morning, and I was walking in the back of the cemetery, and on the little hillside there were these black candles that had been burned down to the nub in the ground, like someone was having some sort of black mass seance in the back of the cemetery. That's why I don't go in at night.
I think that's a really good idea, because I would not want to see whatever they were summoning.
I don't know what they were summoning either. I don't want to know.
Yeah, but I am kind of curious if it worked. I mean, right?
I don't know.
Chung saying, no, this shows that you are a great professor, that all of these students are writing books and that you are appearing in them. that a David,
I tell them they have to
man named David.
10%.
Oh my goodness. Well, grab the book tonight, y'all. Grab the book tonight from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, Murder by the Book. Shop local, y'all. Shop woman-owned. One of the 3 dedicated mystery bookstores in the country, renowned bookstore. Let's get those orders going. So here they are. Grab the book tonight, and you too can be in David's 3-story locked room. 6 student suspect, but 1 dies, so really only 5. Locked room finalists. The finalists out now, y'all. David, thank you so much for coming on. This has been so fun. Thank you, Mystery and Thriller Femme, for hanging out with us today, for being so fun and for having fun with us. If you're not already, be sure to join the Facebook group, free and open to all. Here is the link. Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Wendy Catch a Clue saying, thank you, Wendy. Always a pleasure to see your name pop up. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for all these really cool questions. Thank you, David, for your energy and all these really cool answers. Y'all, I will see you next Monday for #Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder. Have a great night.